Hello, good morning. It's Wednesday the 20th. I'm FX Blue and this is the market brief. And the heat wave may be over. May get through this without breaking sweat. Andrew Bailey's been on. He gave the clearest indication yet that the MPC may deliver a 50 basis point rate hike at their next meeting on August the 4th. He seemed to borrow from the Fed playbook when he outlined his determination to bring inflation back to the government's 2% target. Although he did fall short of saying it is their sole focus, presumably to avoid any plagiarism claims from the Fed. Fun fact for rate hike fans, that would be the biggest UK rate hike in 27 years. However, the MPC is facing a similar dilemma to many other central banks where the supply side of the economy is driving inflation. Rate hikes are all well and good to dampen demand-driven inflation, but it does nothing to tackle the supply side issues. Further, by driving demand down, it could easily push the economy into a recession, and low or negative growth is not what you want when inflation is still riding high. Think back to Economics 101. That is stagflation, and that is a nightmare for policymakers to deal with. But the good news is the price of oil is beginning to level off. And that should help ease supply-side inflation, and that, perhaps coupled with the 0.5% economic growth reported in May, will add to the MPC debate and may lead to a 50 basis point rate hike. Watch this space. Inflation was confirmed at 9.4% this morning, so they need to do something. An update from Westminster. The final leadership vote is due today. This will confirm the final two candidates. Well, it will confirm the other final candidate who will face Sunak, no doubt, as he remains the strong favourite to win and looks pretty assured of a route into the final two. In the market, sterling remains in recovery mode. We touched 120.45 against the dollar yesterday. We open around 117.50 against the euro. And that parity story looks like old news for euro dollar at the moment. That opens at 102.40 this morning. Over in the US, Biden's having a rather tough time of it all. In part, this is because he is all but invisible, certainly compared to Trump. But he was never going to be another media-based president on TV every day, promising this, that and the other. Equally, he has brought in a more hands-off leadership and created a far more executive administration. The problem with this, though, is that several of his choices have not really been up to the task, and that has left him rather exposed to a Congress where Democrats fear a Republican whitewash at the midterms in November. So while the first half of Biden's presidency has been a lot of firefighting, what with the pandemic and the associated economic recovery, the second half of his presidency looks more likely to be about fighting for his future and indeed his legacy. The Fed has a summer break after their next meeting. Suggestion is therefore circulating that they will not want to fall further behind the curve, which brings in the idea of a full 1% rate hike into discussion. Punchy stuff. For now, though, 75 basis points seems the more likely outcome, but it will certainly make part of the debate. The dollar index continued to correct yesterday. We fell to 106.40. I'm sure a 1% rate hike would see that regroup and we'll be challenging the 110 level again in no time. So perhaps we should consider this as the calm before the next storm. Speaking of storm, hopefully we'll have a thunderstorm and clear the air. Still a little bit muggy. Have a good one.
If you do not have a clue, then just tweet through and ask FX Blue.